Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Smita and welcome once again to my channel Baby Doc. Today I'll be talking about the nutrition aspects of preschoolers and older children. From 15 months to 3 years, they develop what we call as an oppositional behavior. That is why they, have a sense of independence, and they become picky eaters and have strong preferences. And that is why feeding them can be a real task and demanding. And most of them they lose on the nutritional aspect also. So that is why I'm going to be discussing it with you. Also, I've emphasized the importance of nutrition in the first 1,000 days of life. What you also need to know is that when the baby is in utero, the brain size is about 1% of the adult brain, and by the time the baby reaches 6 years, it grows up to 90%. So as much as nutrition is important for the physical growth, it's equally important for the brain development as well. Talking about each and every age-specific meal plan for each and every child can be difficult in this video, but what I'll be doing is telling you about all the necessary nutrients you need to include and what all foods to avoid in order to have a healthy balanced diet. So before I begin my topic, let's understand what a healthy balanced diet means. So balanced diet means an adequate amount of energy, proteins and minerals, wherein it helps in the daily growth and development, as well as has some in reserve to for us to fight when there are diseases or illnesses. And that is why a healthy balanced diet consists of about 15 to 20% proteins, 15-30% lipids, and the rest comes from carbohydrates. Now with this background knowledge, let us begin our today's topic of discussion. Now on the screen you can see an age and gender wise distribution of daily calorie requirement per day, and you'll also notice that there is an increased calorie requirement during the adolescent phase because of the growth spurt that happens due to hormones or what we call puberty. Now this calorie requirement is in accordance with a normal physical activity of the child, and by that I mean that children above 5 years of age are recommended at least 60 minutes of physical activity by the IAP, and this means that they are involved in physical activities like cycling, running, or sports like badminton, swimming, and football, which requires a lot of vigorous strength. Anything less or more than that, the calorie requirement will vary. So for example, if your child is into competitive sports and training for that, your calorie requirement will vary. So now that we've seen the calorie requirement per day, let's move on to what are the different types of nutrients you need to include in your diet. So traditionally we know them as macro and micronutrients. The macronutrients being the one which is required in larger quantities, that is the carbohydrates, proteins and fats, and the micronutrients are the one which you require in smaller quantities, that are the vitamins and minerals. But functionally these nutrients can be divided into two types, one being the type 1 nutrients, which is the functional nutrients, or rather you would say they are required for building up our immunity, and they are stored in our body. So they are the vitamins like A, D, E and K, the minerals like iron and copper, calcium, and your carbohydrates and fats. Now type 2 nutrients are the growth nutrients, and they are basically required for you building up your muscle mass, and they are required in the day-to-day metabolic activity at a cellular level. Now the main thing with type 2 nutrients are that they are not stored in your body, and that is why they are required on a day-to-day basis. That is, your daily diet should include these type 2 nutrients, and these are amino acids, that is basically the proteins, and minerals like zinc, magnesium, potassium, sodium and chloride. Now let's have a look at the sources of these different types of nutrients. So starting with carbohydrates, your cereals and millets, that is rice, wheat, jowar, bajra, maize are good sources. Fats you can find in oil, ghee, butter, nuts and seeds. Proteins, there are two sources. One is the non-vegetarian, which is egg, meat and poultry, and the vegetarian, which are the pulses, that is green moong and your arhar, and legumes, soya bean, rajma chola, and paneer, tofu. And And you might think that the non-vegetarian protein is not as superior to non-vegetarian protein, but there are three things you can try to may it increase its protein value. First is you combine different sources of protein. That is, there are certain proteins which are found in cereals and certain pulses, so you can combine them, and the best example is khichdi. Second thing you can try is sprout them and use them, and third thing you can try using a whole pulses rather than the split dals. One more advantage of it is that the outer covering is not lost in this process, and the fiber content is maintained, and also the phytate content decreases, which helps in the absorption of iron and other minerals also. Now moving on to the vitamins. Vitamin A is essential for your development of vision, hair and skin, and it's found in the yellow and orange colored fruits and vegetables, that is papaya, mango, carrot, pumpkin, and also green leafy vegetables. Now, B complex is required for your variety of bodily functions, and it's overall found in most of the cereals and leafy vegetables except B12, which is only found in the non-vegetarian food and some amount in the milk. So that is why vegetarians have a higher chances of vitamin B12 deficiency, and this can lead to anemia and developmental delays also. Vitamin C, of course, is an immunity booster, and once again required in many of the metabolic functions. It's found in citrus fruits, amla and lemon. And one more thing I would want to tell you about vitamin C is that it is water soluble and highly heat unstable. So whenever you are adding lemon to your food to increase its vitamin C content, so for example your dal or poha, make sure that you add it just when you are about to eat it. That is, there is no not on the stuff, because heating evaporates the vitamin C content in it. Also, vitamin C is essential for the absorption of iron. D vitamin you get in sunlight and supplements. Vitamin E is majorly found in the nuts and seeds. Now moving on to the minerals, well, there are two types of minerals. Like one is the macro minerals, you would say, that require their quantity in milligram, and the micro or trace elements which are required in microgram in daily need. So I won't be talking about each and every mineral here, but the major ones that are essential for our bodily functions. The first one being iron, because it's the leading cause of anemia in adolescent girls and children, and later on in the pregnant females also. So jaggery, green leafy vegetables are good sources of iron, and even fish and meat. And as I already said, that increasing the content of vitamin C in your food increases your iron absorption. One more thing you can do is you can cook in iron pots or vessels, cast iron pots, and that will also increase the iron absorption. Fermenting, the process of fermenting and the process of sprouting also increases the iron content of any food. And one tip that I would like to tell the parents here is that if you notice that your child is having irritability, is getting lethargic, is having poor appetite over a period of time, these are the signs of iron deficiency, because iron is basically stored in your body and you do not see the signs of deficiency until it's too late. Second mineral that I'll be talking about is the calcium, where you can find it in the dairy products and millets and meat. And also make sure that your child plays out in the outdoors often, because calcium and phosphorus is worthless if you do not get vitamin D. So your bones will not grow unless both of them are present. Iodine once again is very essential for your brain development, because it's a major hormone in the thyroid hormone synthesis, and it's generally found in the seafoods and iris salt that we use, and in some amounts in the drinking water. Zinc again is very, very important for all the metabolic functions at cellular level, and it's majorly found in the nuts and seeds, meat, cereals and grapes. Now when I've frequently mentioned the use of nuts and seeds, and you might say, how can we use them? So one good idea to use them is you can dry and roast these seeds, that is pumpkin or watermelon seeds. You don't throw them away. You dry and roast them and add a little salt, and you can the older children can eat it, or you can make a powder of that and add it in your young child's khicharis to increase its protein and fiber content, and as well as these mineral contents. Another thing you can do is if your child has a sweet tooth, you can make til laddu with jaggery and sesame seeds. That will ensure that it's healthy and also the iron and zinc content is good in it. Copper, you will find it in meat and legumes, and also by cooking in copper bottom vessels. Sodium, of course, is found in salt. And potassium is generally found in all the foods, but it is rich in banana and coconut water. Now sodium and potassium are the minerals which are lost in sweat and diarrhea. So when your child is very tired and feeling cramps when he or she plays outdoor in the sun and comes home, instead of giving a fruit juice, if you give a coconut water, if you give a banana, that tiredness and that cramp is instantly lost. Folic acid, which is again very essential for along with iron and vitamin B12 in prevention of anemia, is found in almost all the vegetables and pulses. And magnesium, once again responsible like zinc for many metabolic functions, are found in most of the cereals. So now that we've seen all the different sources, you might wonder how many servings to give according to your calorie requirement. So we've already seen the food pyramid in the last video, and here is another food serving which tells you how many servings that you should give. So the base is of course formed by your cereals and pulses, and which is about 6 to 10 servings, and the less than that is the vegetable and fruit group, that is 3 to 5 and 2 to 3 respectively, and little less than that is the milk and meat group, which is 2 to 3 servings, and the fats and oils should be sparingly used. Now one serving is approximately 200 to 250 ml, so you need to calculate accordingly. Another small tip that I can give you is that if your calorie requirement is around say 2000 calories per day, you can break it to 3 major meals and 2 snacks and divide the calorie accordingly. So for example, if it's 2100 calories per day, you can break it into breakfast, lunch and dinner, making 550 to 600 calories, and the snacks being around 150 to 200 calories. This way you'll ensure that the child is not overburdened with food at one time, and spacing is there, and the child doesn't overfeed or underfeed. Now if you have to simplify this food pyramid, you can also go remember this traffic light signal, that is the green is indicated by the vegetable, fruit, cereals and pulses, which you can have abundantly. Yellow is of course the poultry and dairy products, and red is the sugary and processed foods. And by processed foods I also mean the sauces, spreads and ketchups that your children love to use. So to summarize, I would say that veggies and fruits are to be eaten in abundance, cereals and pulses in a sufficient quantity, poultry and dairy at the specified amount, and sugar and oil should always be used with caution. You can allow cheat meals once in a while, say for once a week, and I would rather call it a reward meal so that they are motivated to eat healthy the rest of the time. Balanced diet, it's also important to avoid certain foods as much as is to include good nutrients. So the first thing you need to avoid or cut down is the sugar. Now why? Because sugar is completely addictive, even for us adults. Once you have sugar, you keep on want to have more and more. Also, it leads to a lot of behavioral problems and sleep disturbances in the kid. It leads to obesity, which is a precursor for adulthood diseases like diabetes, hypertension and cardiovascular problems. Now when I say that you need to avoid or cut down on sugar, I don't just mean the simple sugar or jaggery and the toffees and chocolates and mithais. It also means the hidden sugars. That is, there are 75 different types of sugar. So when you go out to in the market to buy certain product which says zero sugar or zero sucrose, make sure to read the label, because there might be other sugars like dextrins and maltodextrins and isodextrins which are written in the label, and it's just a false sense of security that that's zero sugar. So no food is completely zero sugar, and whenever you buy certain products, such products from the market, please make sure to read the label properly and use it judiciously. Second thing you need to take care of is the fruit juices, which are so popular with the kids. Now, fruit juices that are available in the market have less than 20% of fruit concentrate, so that is and the rest is all sugar. So the nutrient value is completely zero. So what you can do is you make fresh fruit juices at home, and avoid buying such fruit juices, and that way you will make sure that the nutrient value is not lost. A third thing that you need to take care of is the oils in your food, that is the fried food. Now, whenever you heat the oil, a lot of trans fat is released, a lot of aldehydes are released. So once you you heat the oil and you reuse it, what happens is that this trans fat level increases, and the ratio of omega-6 to omega-3 fatty acids becomes, it raises from 3:1 or 4:1. Whereas the normal should be 1:1. So omega-6 is bad. In short, what I'm saying is that omega-6 is bad, omega-3 is good. So you can't find one oil which is completely good in all the aspects. But what I'm trying to say is that you use fried fruits judiciously. Also, when you go out, you don't know what type of oil is used when you're eating a samosa or a patata vada or a burger or anything. So what you can do is make such foods at home, and try to avoid eating outside food as much as possible. So with this, we come to the end of our discussion. So we've seen all the nutrients that you need to include and what are foods to avoid in order to have a good balanced diet. Something which is equally important is a good psychosocial environment at your family, so that your child thrives well. And for that, you need to make sure that your meal times are happy, enjoyable and pleasant, as I've already mentioned in my previous video also. Make sure you eat together as a family on the whole, and absolutely no screen time during eating. This way they'll not underfeed or overfeed, both of which are dangerous. And one thing I feel is important, that you need to teach your child the importance and value of food from the very start, so that they don't waste food. And despite all our efforts, you need to understand that children at this age are picky eaters. They have strong preferences, and so if they refuse a certain type of food, please do not force feed, but instead you can find another alternative for the same nutrients. For example, if your child doesn't eat leafy vegetables, you can find other sources of vitamin A and iron in order to make sure that the child doesn't suffer from that deficiency. And as and when the child grows older, you can make them understand in some sort of fictional or story kind of way the importance of that nutrient, and I'm sure they will understand it. And yes, one thing I also want to stress as a fact is that children learn from the people around them, that is us, the parents, grandparents, everyone. So if you inculcate healthy eating habits in your regular day-to-day life, I'm sure they will also tend to eat healthy. So the next time you go out and eat food, make sure that you eat the right type of food. Avoid ordering fruit juices or beverages, aerated drinks, so that your child also doesn't ask for it. And this way you'll ensure that the child has a healthy eating habit from the very start. So with this, I end today's video, and if you have any queries or questions, please feel free to ask. If you've liked the video and found it informative, please do like and share it on YouTube. I'll be back soon again with another interesting topic. Until then, take care and stay safe.